you're stated.
So if I'm not accredited, if I'm a portfolio pass type of education provider, I cannot use these guides?
Not for formal education that counts towards the evaluation trainings. You can implement it into your education, but it wouldn't count as that equivalent.
Because I cannot get accredited until I've run the course at least once, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you're going for accreditation, then you would reach out to Coach Education and say like I'm going for ICF accreditation, and then they can provide that to you so that you can deliver it, and then you would get accredited. So it's like a whole process that you would have to go through because we can't just provide the facilitation guides to everyone. It would just have to be through a pathway through them.
Of course. So how do I go about achieving that?
So if you want to email, so I know it's a busy time, but if you want to email support at coachingfederation.org and specify in your subject line so it gets a little bit quicker that you're looking to receive evaluation facilitator guides, it'll get to the right person probably a little bit quicker. And if you have any trouble, then feel free to reach out to your chapter representative and we can try to make sure that you get that access and that you get a response.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any more questions from you?
Yes, there is one.
Yes, because I see that there are more.
One more. I had a list of 8, but you've answered many of them already. So the second one and the last one. For people that will apply for their credential after April 1st, they will need the competency review form from an MCS mentor coach. Does it mean that if they did a course in 2026 or earlier, did 10 hours of mentor coaching, 7 group and 3 one-on-one with 3 recording and feedback in the one-on-one sessions, while of course the mentor coach was not MCS, can the mentor coach use that to fill in the form? Or do we need to have new 3 sessions one-on-one in order to meet the requirement?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So if somebody already completed all their mentor coaching, a while ago, and it's not within a level 1 or level 2 program, it's just they completed it separately, then all they have to do is if they're applying after that April 1st deadline, then they'll have to go back to a mentor coach that holds that designation, and they'll have to complete 1 session observation form and 1 competency review form that validates their skills, and then they can just submit that. So they don't have to go back and get those full 3 sessions because we do want to honor the previous mentor coaching that they did get.
So a 1 session.
Yes, correct.
Okay, that works. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's in the resource page that you show, right? That's where they can find them?
The forms aren't we do have sample forms, but the forms aren't public yet, but they should be up on our website within the next week or 2.
Thank you. So now I have a question from Aditya. If a coach complete mentor coaching education in align with ICF mentor coaching competencies, and it used to satisfy the education requirement for the mentor coach specialization, can those same education hours can be count towards CCE units for the renewal of an ICF credential?
Good question. If I understand correctly, they're asking if their mentor coaching education can count towards their credential renewal as well.
Aditya, would you like to clarify that?
Okay, so for as long as you can directly align it with the core competencies, yes, it can count towards your renewal. But I can't firmly say that until I see like exactly what it is that's involved. But normally mentor coaching applies to mentor coaching, and then the for a renewal of credential, it has to apply to the ICF core competencies. So as you might not be able to do all your education, but there might be portions of it that you can apply to your renewal. Say totally different, but they're coming from a different space, right? One's specifically on coaching and one specifically on mentor coaching. So, but I know there is a little bit of overlap. So if there is that overlap, then you can count those specific hours towards your credential renewal.
Format.
Forms, the customization of the forms.
Yeah, like I mean the layout, the branding, the language, the visual design of like the form, like can the education provider make it to align with their branding?
So sorry. Yeah, so the forms can't be changed. You can add stuff to the end of it if you want to add additional development or pages for who you're working with, but the form and its state cannot be changed. The branding can't be changed. The wording can't be changed, but it can be translated. So the reason why we created these forms is so that they could be accessible to everyone who speaks, different languages. So they will be provided in Word format. And so you can translate these forms into the language that you're most fluent in and that the client is most fluent in. Just making sure that you keep the outline and the structure the same, because once you submit it to ICF, if you keep it in that same language, you just have to be able to translate it back. So, yeah. So nothing with I would just keep the same branding and everything like that. You can translate it as long as it stays in the same format. And then if you have additional pages that you want to add or go over with your client, it has to be done at the end.
Go if you're comfortable, because if one has complete ICF evaluation training for PCC marker like 3 years ago, is there any need to complete the current evaluation, the ACC?
So, if I'm understanding the question correctly, if you completed the PCC marker training anytime after July of 2021, then we will honor that completion. The ACC bars training was updated to the new behavioral statements in November of 2025. So that has to be completed after November of 2025. And then the MCC bars training was updated in December of 2025. So the training has to be completed after that. So if you completed any of those within that time frame, then it will be honored.
In the past, when we were able to pass, as in we went through the training for PCC markers, we were able to mentor the ACC candidates. So in this case, if we have had that training already, are we able to use that training to mentor an ACC candidate in 2027?
So if you mentor an ACC candidate, it would have to be to the PCC standards. So yes, you can. You'd have to hold a PCC MCS, and then it would have to be mentor coach to the PCC standards, but you couldn't mentor coach them to the ACC standards unless you have an ACC MCS. Does that make sense?
So what I'm hearing is that it has to be specific to the level. If it is an ACC, we have to have an ACC bar. And if it's PCC, if I had that training done after that particular month that you mentioned, after 2021, then I can mentor a PCC candidate. Did I get it right?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. So this is also like a perfect opportunity to explain that if someone's applying for ACC, they can either receive mentor coaching to the ACC or PCC level. If somebody's applying for PCC, they can only receive mentor coaching to the PCC level. And then if somebody's applying for MCC, they can only receive mentor coaching to the MCC level. So that's why you can mentor coach an ACC candidate to the PCC level. And they can still apply for ACC because it's an above standard.
Right. So if the app
not if you're going to mentor coach them to the PCC standards. Does that make sense? So PCC mentor coaching should only be to the PCC standards.
Okay.
And somebody at the ACC level can still receive PCC mentor coaching because that's a choice. And level 2 programs also do that as well.
Right.
Depending on their experience hours. But if somebody was like, I want to receive ACC standard mentor coaching, then you would have to get the ACC mentor coaching specialization and then complete the ACC bars training.
I see. Okay. All right. The candidate to submit 3 different recordings and transcripts so that we are able to assess them on 3 sessions and then provide.
That is correct. I do. I'm only going to get a little bit, pay a little bit of attention to the verbiage here. So it is an evaluation because it does have that evaluation component. But I just want to emphasize that it isn't like a pass fail. It's just providing them that feedback on how they could be better and how they could develop. So, but to answer your question, yes, it would be on 3 different sessions that are either recorded or observed live in real time. And then you'd complete that session observation form. And then on that last session, you could have completed both the session observation and the competency one at the same time, as long as you review them both in the last session.
Okay, and that is currently required for the ACC path.
Correct.
Did I get that right?
Yep, ACC and PCC will no longer, yeah, it'll replace that.
So if we are, is that applicable?
Yes, but they'll have their own transition period. So you just have to make sure that you're staying within the transition period of the level 1 program that you're working with, because as a program, we have to give them more time to make the transition. So, anyone, let's say, like if I start my cohort on, before January and then it goes into like April, then I still might end up doing a performance evaluation with a level 1 program, but we'll still honor that education because it started where the standards were the performance evaluation. So it just depends on when your level 1 program transitions. But if it has transitioned to the mentor coaching requirement, then yeah, it'll still be required within that program.
The official transition.
Sorry. I'm sorry to can you explain further the point on 10 hours?
For the renewal for coaching supervision?
Yeah, correct. Because you mentioned 2 points. One was a 5 hours and the other was a 10 hours. So I was unclear. If you could repeat, thank you, guys.
Yeah, let me pull up too. Because I like this. I've been working really closely with the mentor coaching, like must be done as received for coaching, as receiving coaching supervision. So you must receive at least 5 hours of coaching supervision on your coaching supervision. And then it can be up to 10 hours that you can do that, but it's only 5 is the minimum requirement. So
okay.
yeah, sorry
if I want to do it,
that.
Okay. And then on that note, like if we receive this year any coach supervision or coach mentoring for our renewal, would that count? Or because they won't have yet the MCS or CSS, right? So they won't have it yet. Would it count? Do we need to park anything?
It will count. So
it will count.
Yep. The only one that you would want to keep a closer eye on is if you're doing mentor coaching for like applying for a credential, but it's a little bit more straightforward for renewal because any previous mentor coaching education or coaching supervision will be applied to the renewal that you do.
Okay, so we can log those hours and later
very first, that's when you would start to look for those that have the designation.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
This exam format changing. That's the question from Jagannathan.
So the PCC MCC exam format is slightly changing. So that information will come out shortly. But if you already have been studying to like the current ICF ICF core competencies, then you'll be fine. It's just the structure of the exam is a little bit different, and then we changed the name so that it's a little bit more intuitive to know that it's for PCC and MCC level.
Okay, for color, and thanks for all the questions. I mean, we try to address them as much as for all the informative and super useful info. Thank you, everyone.